Hey guys, this is a quick public service announcement before my interview with David Horowitz. You know, David Horowitz actually said a couple lines that we are being forced to censor because of the YouTube rules. We have never done something like this before, and as far as I know, David Horowitz is a free citizen in the free country of the United States who is entitled to free speech. That being said, I can't risk having this channel deleted from YouTube, and that basically is what would happen if we went ahead and aired it unedited. So you will hear some bleeps in this interview. If you would like to hear what David Horowitz, a free man in a free country, actually said, you can check out the full video at rubinreport.locals.com. And quick shout out to Susan Wojcicki over at YouTube.
If you look at the Democrats' agenda, it's not about getting rid of Trump. It's not about winning an election. It's about establishing a one-party state. Stack the Supreme Court, that's to abolish the independent judiciary, abolish the Electoral College, which was designed to force presidential candidates to compete in battleground states where they didn't have a majority, thus force them to compromise. Our whole system is built on compromise. That's why we've only had one civil war and no successful coup d'etats. The Democrat program is a fascist program. There is nobody, the only Republicans who are legitimate are those, like Liz Cheney.
Right, they love Liz Cheney now because she's a pet. So you lay all of this out in the book. It's quite extraordinary, actually. And as I said, you've been right about a lot of stuff way before a lot of people. So what do you think the average conservative, and I now use that term in a broad sense, if you believe America is good, you're a conservative as far as I'm concerned. What do you think the average conservative can do to fight this? Because it feels like the deck is completely stacked against us.
Well, Republican conservatives have been asleep for 50 years while the Democrats have taken over our culture. I wrote 5 books on the universities that one of them people paid a little attention to, but the Republican, and I organized academic freedom campaigns, and I got no real support out of the Republican Party. But between Obama and, I call him the Alzheimer puppet, and Biden, one of the nastiest human beings on the planet. I don't know how he gets his reputation for being a nice guy. They've begun to wake people up. And Donald Trump has given our country and patriots a great gift. And that is he has created the first mass conservative movement in our history. When I came into the right in the mid-'80s, 40 years ago now, looked around and said, where's the ground army? All my ex-comrades on the left, they had 100 organizations or 200 to harass and threaten and defame politicians until they got into their program, and corporations. Why are corporations involved? Corporations are basically cowards. They don't want to lose customers. That's their bottom line. But if you harass them enough, they will respond. And it's interesting, already the backlash has caused them. Disney just pulled back its racist program.
Right.
I long to see people get in the face of teachers, of principals, of superintendents of schools, of school boards, who are indoctrinating their children in hate America, garbage. And we're so backward. I was watching Fox, and they're talking about the 1619 Project, and they're talking about the 20 slaves. But weren't slaves. I mean, I've read Nell Painter, who's a black leftist Princeton historian on this subject. They were indentured servants. And slavery was actually outlawed in Virginia in 1619. And Virginia wasn't America in 1619. It was a British colony. And this is supposed to be our founding, according to these liars. And yet, if you look at Fox, they're not saying, they don't know the facts.
Right. To be clear, we were not a nation till about 150 years later. So the idea that the nation was founded on something that happened 150 years before, when everyone was dead, seemed a little odd.
Exactly. It's just terrible.
So what does the future?
I want to see a sit-in at the headquarters of Twitter denouncing their censorship, embarrassing them. That's what's really needed. And I see the stirrings of it all over the place. There are people organized, particularly in the schools, and that gives me hope.
Yeah. Do you think, though, that since you brought up Twitter, that the big tech part of this is the part that makes the asymmetry so out of whack? It would be one thing if it was slightly out of whack, but now the way we get information is so tilted that people can't coordinate properly or can't even get the information properly or agree on what's true.
Change is coming. The one thing about tech is it's always changing. And what's it called? Substack already is a media outlet. It has a lot of people who are second thoughters like you on it. People with impeccable leftist credentials who are really upset about the cancel culture. And just the terms we use, cancel culture. It's book burning. It's what the Nazis did in the 30s. You can't just burn books today because you got a digital universe that you can't. But that's what it is. I would like to see people. I mean, I know that I'm not making myself popular by referring to the Biden administration as fascist, but technically that's what it is. And I tell you, if we don't stop them, they will put us in re-education camps. They've already telegraphed that conservatives are Yahoo racists who have to be reprogrammed.
You think, do we get to share a gulag as the Why I Left the Left guys? That would be nice.
That's very probable.
Very probable. Great.
Gulag, by Solzhenitsyn's Gulag Archipelago. That book really moved me at the time.
Yeah, well, I toured with Jordan Peterson, and he often brought up the Gulag Archipelago for the same reasons.
I always thank my lucky stars for Jordan Peterson. Otherwise, I'd be feeling guilty about all the things I wasn't right. Go ahead. One part I would like to mention is the chapter on chapters on the blacklist. Mm-hmm. It's very, very serious. I'm not going to name the outlet, but I wrote this article about how Ron Radosh had joined the fascists and slipped a knife between my ribs.
I've got the piece right here. Yeah.
Okay. And I tried to place it with a very prominent conservative media site, but they're also on Facebook. If you're a big media site, you got to be on all the platforms. And they said that Facebook would shut them, would just close it down if it appeared there. People have to understand we are in the early stages of a fascist state. America is no longer a free country. Its freedom is hard won by courageous people like yourself who are willing to stand up and take the slings and arrows.
So what do we do then? I mean, okay, so we can sit in at Twitter. I mean, I know you're a fighter. You've been doing this for a long time. I mean, what do we really do? Like so is Trump the only thing that can save us? Do we need the return of Trump to lead the Republicans? Like, it ain't going to be Liz Cheney.
Here's what I think about Trump. People are talking about Ron DeSantis, whom I admire. And in my blacklist story, I tell how they used first, they call me a notorious racist. Then because he spoke at my events, they used that. And when I say they, I'm talking about the so-called liberal media.
Yeah.
New York Magazine, the Washington Post, used that to try to taint him and destroy him. And he has a delivery which a lot of people think is, more user-friendly, shall we say, than Trump's. Mm-hmm. And I hope he's on the ticket, actually. But the reason that I believe that Trump is bound to be the leader is he got 75 million votes despite 4 years of unbelievable slander and lies directed at him, and no credit from what he had done. But I think ordinary Americans, patriotic Americans, see this guy as someone, here he was, a billionaire, living the life, and he put himself and his family through all this to save the country, basically. And I mean, those credentials are golden. You really can't beat them. And I think his aggression is necessary. The reason the Democrats hate him is because he called them out. And, called them out as racist for their control of the inner cities, called them out for their betrayal of the, I will say, as somebody who's been in politics 50, 60 years, I had no idea that they were selling us out in trade deals the way they were. I mean, it's Bush, Bush, Clinton, Obama. Either they were too lazy to cut decent deals for Americans, or they just didn't care about fleecing our country for Chinese communists. They're genocidal dictators, for crying out tears.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop yelling, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist, all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.